This is Sarah Leslie with Go All In, helping entrepreneurs live the life they want to live right now, making the money they want to make the way they want to make it, while also living a rich and full life outside of their business. True personal freedom. Let's go. Hey, hey, hey. All right. So excited to be here with you all. And I'm so grateful that you are here with me as well. So today's topic is all about what do we really mean when you hear people talking about prioritizing yourself? This is a topic that I think is essential to your personal freedom, your personal growth, your expansion, your achieving and attaining all of the things that you desire in your life. When you don't have an understanding, an accurate understanding, and a higher level understanding of this concept, then it's easily going to be an area where you're sacrificing some part of yourself unintentionally and just not creating the life that you really desire. So, before we jump into all of that, I just want to update you. The Sales Mastermind, Cash Flow Mastermind for Coaches is off and going. We're just had our second week, second call, and it's such a phenomenal container to be in. The folks that are in there are going all in. They're excited about learning sales and embracing sales. But it occurs to me to share with you the reason that I'm hosting a sales mastermind, right? I'm not a sales coach. I'm not even a business coach. And I'm a life coach for entrepreneurs that operates off of the premise that if you don't have what you currently desire in your life, there's an internal reason for that, which another way you could hear me say that is there's a self-leadership skill that is missing from your tool set that won't allow you, right? Without it, you can't create what it is that you want. Another way you could hear me say that is when we don't really understand where our thought process is getting us in trouble, we can't create what we want. It's always something internal that's keeping us from what we desire. And so, of course, as business owners and entrepreneurs, a huge part of what we're doing, right, in our day-to-day existence is selling our business, selling our offers, selling whatever it is that you do as an entrepreneur. You're selling something, right? Now, what I've also come to learn is everyone is always selling something, right? When you think about it, really big picture, the 30,000 foot view. And the mastermind is all focused around helping people understand the basic core principles that allow sales to actually be a natural way of being versus something that you feel you are doing to someone. So, if you're interested in that space, as of now, it's specifically for coaches to just increase the level of intimacy of the group where everyone is focused, coming from a similar place and going after a similar goal. And I'm sure I will be opening it up to general entrepreneurs because, again, the principles are all the same regardless of what industry you're in. So be on the lookout for that coming in 2025. Isn't that amazing? We're like, I'm already talking about 2025. I think it's so fun. Okay, so we are going to dive deep. The general thing I want you to understand or think about what we're going to be diving in here is this notion around why aren't your dreams front and center? Why aren't your dreams taking center stage? So, if your dreams aren't taking center stage, which I'm going to imagine they're not, I know even in my life, and I'm now like many years in to doing this level of work and leading my life from these skill sets that I teach. And yet there are still parts of me where I will find mostly unaware at the time, right? And is why I still get my own coaching and why I think it's essential to have coaching ongoing, where I'm unaware that I'm not allowing my dreams in certain areas of my life to take center stage, or that there are specific things that I'm doing that, again, I'm not aware of that are pushing my dreams out of front and center, out of center stage. And so we're going to really dive in here so you can understand what we're really talking about when I say it's important for you to prioritize your dreams, your desires. And really, it's essential. If you want to live a fulfilled, connected, joyous, easeful lifestyle, and you want to feel amazing inside of your own body about who you are and what you're doing here on the planet, this is an essential skill set. Without it, you will settle for less than as a fact. Not as a judgment about you or your character, but simply as a fact. All right, so we're going to take a deep dive in looking at what does it actually mean to prioritize yourself, like I said. Why is it essential for your dreams to learn how to prioritize yourself, not only for your dreams, but for your own internal freedom and your overall well-being? Literally, this is when we're prioritizing other things unintentionally, like mistakenly prioritizing other people's stuff, right? We're literally sacrificing our own health. Literally. And why does it feel so hard and sometimes just flat out wrong to prioritize yourself? And of course, how you can take some super powerful actions to be able to do this right now more successfully. So let's start by looking at what we're actually talking about here, because it can be easy to think that prioritizing yourself is about the manicures, the pedicures, and the massages. Now, I'm a big fan of all three of those, just so we're really clear. And that's not what we're talking about here. When someone is already deeply committed to themselves, and they then want to get a massage because they notice that their body could use some help relaxing, feeling refreshed and renewed, then they just take themselves to a massage therapist. Okay. And if they notice that they have a hard time taking care of their nails, or they really desire to have someone who is very skilled at painting their nails to take the time to make their nails look pretty, and they are already deeply committed to themselves and their dreams, then they will just go to the manicure specialist. Okay. It actually isn't prioritizing oneself, is not saying, I'm going to prioritize myself and go get a massage. That's you just recognizing I've not been prioritizing myself, and now I'm going to go to a massage. What we're talking about here is actually a lifestyle where you're living in alignment with your values. So it's one thing to talk about your values, to know your values inside of your own head. And it's another thing, right? It's a whole another realm to actually prioritize your values and live according to your values. Now, people like us are not trying to not live according to your values. Of course, you're trying to live according to your values. And what you don't know will hurt you in this case. It can be sometimes I think people can hear what I'm saying. I know I used to hear what people would be saying and think, but I am living my values. I'm trying to live my values. And so what I want you to hear the most here, right, as being that high performer, that high achiever, that person that goes all in on themselves and their lives, is there's just some misinformation inside of what you have learned up till now. And so if, again, you're noticing these areas where you're not putting your dreams front and center, and you're not putting your health front and center, and you're not feeling deeply fulfilled, then what I know to be as a fact, right? An algorithm, if you will, a code, if you will, 1 + 1 = 2, that it's just the math that you're not prioritizing yourself. Okay, so it's not a judgment. And so you don't need to receive this or even go into yourself and be like, oh, what's wrong with you? You're not living according to your values. No, that's not why you're here. You're here to actually learn the skill sets that you need in order to thrive in your life, in order to live a fulfilled life. And this was a beautiful, nuanced awareness that I had this week that I'm excited to be able to share with you for the first time. This notion, right? You've probably heard it before that you're wired for survival. I've heard it 1,001 times. You're wired for survival. And then I hear like the whole story about how your mind is wired to prevent you from getting eaten by the saber-toothed lion or saber-toothed tiger, whatever it is. And I didn't hear in that explanation, like it was never said in quite a way where I could really hear it and let it in. The flip side, right? You're wired for survival. So think about it like your skills that you've had up till now have been to keep you alive. Okay. And or whenever you started in what you would refer to as your own personal growth journey, that you've had these skills inside of you that you've been operating off of that have kept you alive. That's what I think of as survival skills now. The skills that you have been using up till now. So for me, it was up till about the age of 38, and I'm 47 now, that I was operating off of at least more of the time, skills that I would now refer to as survival skills. The interesting thing to me that I want to point out here is literally, I was making great money. I owned my own home. I took care of all my things. I had a beautiful house, very well ordered, full of all the things you would need. I had a beautiful family, beautiful friends, all the things. And I would still now, looking back with what I know now, reflect on it and say, I was operating from survival skills. Why? Because I was not happy. I was settling for a lesser life. I was playing very small in this big life that I had because I literally didn't know how to play big. I didn't know how to take up all the space in my world. I didn't know how to prioritize myself front and center, let alone my dreams, my health, my body, my nutrition, my mental health. I just literally didn't know how. And I love to share that 1,000 times over because, again, I'm super educated, like so educated, and had an amazing family growing up. And thank goodness have not suffered. I've only suffered like a handful of really tragic things in my lifetime. So again, for someone like me who's had a pretty quote unquote good life, for me to have the awareness as a therapist, right? At the time, if I didn't already say that, I was a therapist, right? And I had a 20-year career as a psychotherapist, helping people with all kinds of challenges, including supervising a team of therapists for myself. There were skills that I had not yet learned, even as this highly competent, independent individual. So this is applicable to a lot more people than oftentimes people can think at first. And so I just want you to know, wherever you're at in your journey, whatever level of success you have achieved, this is relevant for you, right? The topic stood out to you, you tuned in, and that means there's some part of you that's, I think, need help in this area. I think I have something here that needs attention. You're in the right place. Okay. So you're wired for survival. However, the way I think about it now is you actually have to learn the skill sets that you need to utilize to allow you to live a thriving life, that allow you to live a deeply fulfilled life, that allow you to take center stage, feel good about who you are, feel amazing about your purpose here on the planet. And right now, if you don't have that, then you don't know the difference between the skills to survive and the skills to thrive. And again, this has nothing to do with how much money is in your bank account. It's mind-blowing. Now, I'm not saying, I'm just leaving it at that simplicity, right? You could be a person who's feeling more amazing than you used to. And again, this doesn't have anything to do with money. This literally has to do with the degree to which you feel amazing internally. So, in order to be able to have that experience for yourself, for your life on a consistent, sustainable basis, you actually have to learn a set of skills that is different from the survival skills in order to truly be successful in the way you truly want to be, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, like we talked about, it's so much bigger than self-care, right? It's this awareness that you are naturally inclined to certain skill sets, certain talents. And here's one way to think about it, right? When you're actually prioritizing yourself and you're not assuming what you should or shouldn't be, you lean into the places where you have natural interest. Okay? So like, for instance, timeliness, to say you either love politics or you don't. Okay? I used to, and I'll just say a couple more. Either you love keeping up with current events or that's just not your jam. You either love to do things outdoors or you don't, and you prefer to be more indoors. You either love to spend a lot of time reading and learning and understanding things, or you really love to be out experiencing things and doing things and being in motion. Again, at the big picture of what I want you to hear is, instead of, I'll just tell you a story about myself. My mom is an avid reader. She's an avid newspaper reader. She still does read newspapers. And she's an avid news follower. And she keeps up on all things current politically and just like going on in the world, right? All the goings on of life events going on in the world. And I used to feel so bad about myself because I didn't like to read the newspaper and I didn't like to watch the news. And I wasn't concerned, nor did I feel any concern to know who was in charge of what country or what goings on were happening in all the countries of the world. And so I would feel guilty and shame for not naturally like learning those things. And I spent a lot of time sitting down and reading the newspaper, even as an adult, carrying a subscription, receiving the newspapers, trying to dedicate time to sit down and read the newspaper. And I just failed at it miserably. Same thing with watching the news, same thing with being all like invested in politics, and same thing with just world events, and I could go on. You get the idea here, right? What I have now come to learn, okay, in my awareness of what are the skill sets that allow me to thrive, it's totally okay. That isn't my natural desire. That isn't my interests, okay? And the cool thing is I have my mom as a resource where I can literally call her anytime, day or night, and be aware, quickly informed of whatever it is that's going on in the world that I might need to know about. Like literally. Okay? And so again, you want to just notice when you're truly prioritizing yourself, You allow what is truly you to be expressed, to be noticed, to be seen, to be heard, to be out there. And you don't feel bad or guilty for not having certain interests that you think you should have. This is one of the ways in which we literally deprioritize ourselves, is by dismissing your natural interest, your natural gifts, your natural inclinations. Okay? And the other way that ends up happening is you will compare yourself to others, right? Oh, I should be reading the newspaper. I should be keeping up with all of the current events. And you'll make an investment in someone else's interest. You'll deem their interests more important, more useful, more right than yours. And so you'll literally invest in their interests. This happens all the time. In couples, this happens a lot, where there's just a misunderstanding of what it means to participate in each other's interests. And instead of honoring and respecting the other person's interests and taking consideration to say, hey, tell me about that thing you're into, right? Troy is obsessed with real estate, and he could look at Zillow, what feels like, all day long. I have no interest in looking at Zillow all day long, right? I have had periods of interest in real estate, but it isn't one of my top interests or one of my, what I would call, passions. Okay. I have certain parts of the real estate that I really enjoy, but it isn't looking for real estate that I enjoy at all. It doesn't mean because I'm in this relationship, doesn't mean that I need to become interested in real estate. That's not what is intended. When we're saying to take an interest in the other person, to have shared interests, what it means is you ask about it. Hey, what did you find recently in the area that's exciting to you? Or, hey, what was it like to go to that event that is all about real estate, right? You show an interest, you ask questions. And if you want to participate, right, for a period of time, I was interested in an event that he was going to regularly, more because I like talking with people who are passionate about an interest like real estate, who have a lot of passion, who are going all in on it. And at the time, we were looking for real estate. And so it made sense. It was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to meet people in Asheville. I want to get to know other going all in type of people. Plus, we're looking for real estate. So totally, I want to go with you. And then that interest shut off for me. I was done for a period, and I stopped going. So again, if I were to continue going, I would be diminishing what I actually have a natural interest toward, right? So one of the things that shifted is actually starting this podcast right around that same time frame, where I was yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore because I have other things that I want to do. And just so happens, this is one of the things I've been wanting to do for some time. And so I would sacrifice. You can't do 1,000 things inside of a day, right? We do have to pick and choose the things that are the most important to us. And so if I had continued to do something that wasn't really naturally for me, and then I would have had to sacrifice something that actually is for me. Okay. So you take your own examples of the things that you enjoy about your life and the things that are important to you, and see where is it that you're sacrificing? Where is it that you're trying to be invested in someone else's dream or someone else's interests? And where is it that you're playing small with your own interests? And when I say interest, this is very general, right? Your talents, your gifts, your places of learning, including your job, including what you're doing for a living. If you don't love what you're doing for a living, you're playing small. Your dreams are not front and center. I don't know how to say that. There's no nice way to say that, so I'm just going to say it very bluntly. If you're not loving what you're doing multiple hours during the week, then you're playing small and you're not prioritizing yourself, and you're missing out on something that is so for you that you could be doing instead. And it could also be just a radical shift in how you're approaching the work. It could be a different angle. I'm not saying you need to not be doing what you're doing right now. I'm just saying you aren't prioritizing yourself at 100% if you don't love your work. Okay, so why does it feel so wrong to prioritize ourselves? The main reason is because, again, when you think about survival, right? The skill set of survival, one of the skill sets of survival is community and prioritizing your connection to other people. Okay. So we no longer live in a world where we actually have to be in community at the level that they had to be in community years and years ago. So a lot of people are still interacting with the people in their world, their families, their friends, the workplace, the people in their immediate close circle. They're still interacting with them as if their life depended on it. Now, hundreds of years ago, when we were still living in remote locations and we were still killing animals and growing vegetables for our own food, we benefited from being very closely connected to other humans for obvious reasons, right? It takes multiple people farm a farm at a degree that makes food and is sustainable for people to eat from. And for safety reasons, like I could go on, but it's of course obvious, right? It isn't like that today. Today, it's totally different. The reason we're in close communities is because we have an innate desire for connection with other humans. We have an innate desire to be in connection. However, thriving skill sets, thriving lifestyles, fulfilled lifestyles intentionally connects with people that are like-minded. They don't have to be the same as you, but are like-minded, who have a similar purpose, who are headed in a similar direction, right? Because we know we're easily influenced by other humans. It's just a fact. And so the benefit, right, of being connected comes from intentionally choosing the people you decide to be in connection with. That is the difference between survival and thriving. Surviving and being fulfilled is you choosing to be in connection no longer for safety and no longer because you don't feel comfortable being alone and no longer because your resources are limited of who to be connected to. You literally have access to the entire world now, right? Like even 20 plus years ago, let's just say 50 years ago, you were limited to the people in your literal physical environment. That is no longer true. It's amazing. It's incredible. You literally have access to the entire world. So the thought, I can't find people like me, that is a survival fear. That is not playing front and center. That is not prioritizing yourself. That is not believing the thriving beliefs. It's a way of thinking that I would say is a very limited and scarcity way to think. And it is not in alignment with putting yourself front and center and seeing all the possibilities available to you in the world. When you are focused on thriving and living a deeply fulfilled life and you know how to do that, your mind says, I have the entire world accessible to me to find friends, to create friends that are like me, that are headed on a similar journey that I can't wait to spend time with. Okay? So again, these are all of the ways that we have to actually learn to live our lives when we want to live a fulfilled life. When you're surviving, you'll think, I can't find a partner, or I will stay with this partner because it's the best I can do, or I can't find any friends, or I can't find a new job where I actually could really enjoy myself, or there's no jobs where I'm going to feel really good about my life, or I can't find clients in my business. I can't find clients that I really like working with. I have to work with whoever comes to me. All of that is you using old skills that I would refer to as survival skills. When you're accessing thriving, fulfilling skills, you think all the opposite of that. Of course I can find amazing friends. Of course I can find an amazing lover. I would only stay with somebody if they light me up and make me feel so delicious. And again, I'm not saying just leave your people. Like, we got to work through our own shit to be able to be in really close partnership. So hear me when I say that. Of course I can find a deeply fulfilling job. Of course I can run a deeply fulfilling business. Of course I can find amazing clients to be partnering with. Of course I can feel amazing in my business. Of course I can make the amount of money that I desire to make. You get my point. Okay. So that's why it feels so hard, is because most of us, including you, high achieving, very successful people who maybe are making lots of money already, who are maybe experiencing tons of worldly success, including you, right? We can make it seem so wrong to prioritize feeling deeply fulfilled simply because we haven't learned the skills we need in order to be able to thrive. And we may have learned some of them, but we don't distinctly know the difference between the skills for surviving and the skills for thriving. And so what happens is we get confused along the way and we fall back to the old survival skills. Make sense? Okay, so the main reason it feels so wrong, just to summarize, is because you haven't been trained and conditioned to operate from the thriving skills. Again, if you've been surviving and operating from survival skill sets for 40 years, then of course it's going to feel so wrong to all of a sudden start prioritizing yourself, to start prioritizing your interests, to start prioritizing your fulfillment, to start prioritizing the dream for the business that you have, etc. Okay, let's just look at why is this essential, right? Your health, your freedom, your overall well-being depends on it. That's the simple answer. You like literally are depending on yourself, right? At the end of the day, everyone is alone. Everyone is independent and unto themselves. And when you're thriving, you own that. You embody it. You love the awareness and the knowing. At the end of the day, it comes down to me and how I'm showing up. When you're in surviving, you falter to thinking, I have to be connected to other people. I need other people. That's not a thriving mentality. Okay? Thriving says I get to be with other people. So when you're not prioritizing yourself, literally everything else in your life, just your life, will feel harder than it needs to. And you'll have times where you'll say, things feel really hard for me. The reason they feel hard is because you are not invested in deeply knowing, thriving skill sets. And a short way to say that is you're not prioritizing yourself, right? In order to prioritize yourself, you actually need to learn the skill sets that enable you to thrive. If you think it's wrong, right, to prioritize your vision, to prioritize your dream, to prioritize your health, your well-being, then of course you're playing small and you're minimizing yourself. And you're minimizing your freedom. You're minimizing the degree to which your body can be healthy. You're minimizing the degree to which your relationships can feel fulfilling and intimate. All of those things are just happening as a result. So in order for you to live fulfilled, free, joyous, right, where you feel inspired and have creativity and imagination and allows you to travel and to plan and to do the things you really want to be doing, you actually have to prioritize yourself and learn the skill sets that will allow you to do that. And when you live as that person, what happens is, right, part of how you create freedom and fulfillment for yourself is actually then taking those skill sets into your everyday experience. So every day and every decision, right? Because again, that's just who you now are. That's who you're now being, is this person that lives from the thriving skill set, from prioritizing your dreams front and center. You no longer think it's wrong. That brings the most liberation right there. Literally. If you're not living this way, then there are parts of you where you're just giving away your freedom, where you're sacrificing your freedom. Okay? And the way that I like to think about your vision, your desires, the things you want for your life, I like to just refer to that as your vision. And I think about your vision as your North Star. If you're not following the North Star to stay in alignment and know you're going the right direction, it's easy to then know I'm out of alignment, right? And it's just a fact. It's not a judgment. It's not a place to be all hard on yourself and be like, what's wrong with you? No, those are survival skill sets. Thriving skill set recognizes my vision is my North Star. And when I'm not in alignment with my vision and my North Star, then I am simply out of alignment. And then you can just lovingly say, what do I need to do to get back into alignment? Now, again, that is something that has taken me a while to be able to do. So I don't want it to sound like it's like easy. And it could be easier for you to learn than it was for me. Okay. We're all very different, coming with our own unique experiences from the past. Lastly, how can you start taking powerful action towards prioritizing yourself, right? Again, if you don't have a vision clearly identified, and I recommend writing it out, see episode number 2 for details on how to actually articulate a very inspiring, life-giving vision. This is always your first step, okay? Writing it out, getting super clear with yourself. What is my North Star? What is it to dream for me? What is it that I want so big and so much that I've been suppressing? Oh, there's my timer to help me stay on track for you. To be suppressing and keeping yourself from. So sometimes that's where I work with my clients quite a bit on teasing out. You've been suppressing your vision. You've been playing small and keeping yourself tied into other people's visions and other people's interests and other people's dreams for so long that you can think easily you don't have a vision. You don't have desires. You don't have things that you want. My life is good, I hear some people say. That's not what we're intended for. We're intended for amazing and deeply fulfilling, no matter what's going on in the world. So your first step is always creating a powerful vision. Then it's really about integrating this concept of prioritizing yourself. So an easy way to start with that, right, is what do I desire at the end of today, right? What would my desire be if today went amazing? If I got to the end of today and I said, today was amazing, what would that then look like for today? What would you have been doing? How would you feel? That's how you get started. You can just literally get started inside of today. Because again, once you integrate the concept, this becomes your new normal. So an easy way to get started is, if I could have exactly what I desired, your vision, at the end of today, looking back and being like, I got exactly what I desired today, what would your day have consisted of? Okay, that's just an easy exercise to get you going right now. And again, anytime you catch yourself saying, I don't know, then you can just recognize that's because I've been suppressing my desires, my interests for so long. Okay. And then you can ask yourself again, if I did know, right? Let's just pretend I did know, what would make today amazing? And then let your brain answer again. This can feel like laborious work. That's okay. That's part of change and part of you getting to have exactly what you want in every area, life, business, love life, all the things. Starts right here. You getting clear with what it is you're really wanting in all the areas and even inside of just today, if that's all you can do. Then also looking at your bigger picture visions, your bigger picture vision for your business, your bigger picture vision for your marriage, your bigger picture vision for your parenting, for your relationship with your kids. Okay. All right. And then lastly, and we'll close out with this, really getting clear with your vision, first step. Second step then becomes when things come into your world, you get to ask, is this for me? In other words, is this in alignment with my North Star? So again, if you're just starting out and you're just looking at today, if you set your desire for how today goes and how you would want to feel at the end of today and what would make it an amazing day for you, then when something comes into your day, your kids, your spouse, your employees, your coworkers, your clients, and wants something of you, then you get to ask, is this in alignment for me? Is this opportunity here for me? And then you get to decide yes or no. And if it's no, then you actually need to take action, right? That's your next step, is to just gracefully and easily say, no, I'm unable to do that today. Okay. Now, you can, of course, say I can do it for you tomorrow, or let me look at my schedule and see how I could work that in. The key here is you prioritizing yourself first and you learning how to do that without feeling guilty, without feeling bad about it, etc. Okay. So again, this is what I do. This is how I help people. I work with people for a minimum of 6 months because these things are so deeply ingrained in us that it usually takes at least a few months, if not longer, to begin to work them out of you, to begin to identify the skill sets that allow you to thrive, that allow you to prioritize yourself, and for you to get really clear with what it is that you desire and how to allow that to come out of you easily, where you can then make easeful decisions quickly without feeling bad about it. Okay? So again, prioritizing yourself is really what leads you to your freedom, your success, and ultimately you getting to feel deeply fulfilled and deeply purposeful in your own life. It is a radical shift from the way that you are living right now. There are really a handful of tweaks that get made, and it can feel that radicalness because it's so different from how you've been living in the past when you've been operating from your survival skill sets. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. That's it for me. Don't forget to link and subscribe to my channel. All the links that you need to get in contact with me, to check out episode number 2, etc., are here in the show notes. Between now and when I see you next, go do that thing you most want to be doing. Ready to hire your own personal one-to-one mentor to help you take your life and your business to the next level? Go to my website where you can sign up for a no charge, no pressure consultation where we can get to know each other better. I get to hear your vision. I'll help you understand exactly what's getting in your way. And if it feels like a good fit and I believe I can help you, we'll talk about what it looks like to work together.